Pragmata, the new single-player shooter from Capcom, is a breath of fresh air. In 2026, when every game seems to be a sequel or a spiritual successor to another game you've already played, Capcom delivered on their 6-year promise to bring to life this new IP that pushes the boundaries of the third-person shooter genre. Even more impressive is Capcom's commitment to Pragmata. In a world where promising games are cancelled and teams fired because some suit-wearing buffoon doesn't think they can financially screw over enough gamers, Pragmata was given the time it needed to realize the developer's vision. The question is, was that vision worth the wait? Thanks for watching this quick PC review of Pragmata. We'll be covering the good, the bad, and at the end I'll offer my final verdict on this new Capcom space shooter. If you like what you see, like and sub. Let's get started with the good. When it comes to the visuals, Pragmata shines. The beautiful reflections displayed convincingly regardless of surface, the vibrant showers of sparks and resulting explosions, the punchy holographics, and most importantly, the lighting. Whether using one of the various ray tracing options, or in my case, path tracing, the entire visual package is wrapped together nicely by the game's lighting systems. The art direction in Pragmata isn't targeting photorealism, rather Capcom seems to be shooting for more of an arcade realism look. For lack of a better way of describing it, realistic but shiny. One of the biggest compliments I can give Pragmata's visual presentation is, it's lovely to look at when the action dies down and unobstructive when the chaos ignites. Sound in Pragmata is equally impressive to the visuals. First and most importantly, Pragmata doesn't have a continuous soundtrack. Between bouts of combat, players are allowed to explore without the accompaniment of music, allowing players to hear the sounds of main character Hugh's spacesuit. The variations of reverb presented by the different hard surfaces in different sized rooms. And the various conversations held between Hugh and his pint-sized robotic companion Diana.
Always eat dinner with your family?
When I was living with them, yeah.
When the music rises during combat, at the central hub, cutscenes, or during key moments of exploration, it hits the mark. Combat tunes are adrenaline enforcing, the central hub has a number of calm and serene choices, and what you get during exploration always lent to the "holy shit, we're in space" feeling I had throughout my 16-hour playthrough. Pragmata deals with some pretty poignant topics. Love, loss, and the meaning of family are core concepts covered through Pragmata's 16-hour main story, but also, and more meaningfully so, through the quiet conversations held between Hugh and Diana, as well as the evidence found throughout the lunar compound, such as holographic recordings and data journals. As someone who was adopted, the story of Hugh, who himself was adopted, and the growth of his attachment to the adorable robo-child Diana really cemented my investment in the game's story. While Pragmata's take on adoption is very optimistic and positive, which isn't always the case, it's awesome to see the topic broached in 2026 AAA video games.
Did I do good?
Yeah. You did great.
Gameplay is where Pragmata won me over. I still cannot figure out how a game that has arguably slow-paced combat can create such a heart-pounding reaction, but it does. As I'm sure you've heard by now, Pragmata challenges the player to shoot shit, don't die, but with the added twist of having to complete a quasi-puzzle hacking minigame at the same time. Starting the game, it's hard not to think that this combat is too easy, maybe even boring. While I didn't think the latter, I was concerned that the game wouldn't provide any real sense of challenge. Fear not. While not difficult by any means, Pragmata offers an ever-increasing, steadily progressive challenge. As you progress through Pragmata's campaign, enemies have bigger health pools, more challenging hacking layouts, and damaging hacking nodes you must navigate around. Of course, all while avoiding taking damage and getting some shots off with one of the various guns at your disposal. Even with this steadily progressive challenge, as an above-average boomer gamer, I had one death in my way to the final boss, who then beat me down twice before I squeaked out a victory. The good news is, for those who appreciate a bit more challenge, the hard difficulty, which in Pragmata is dubbed Lunatic difficulty, becomes available after completing the game on normal. After completing the first level on Lunatic difficulty, all I have to say is, with this increased challenge comes a far bigger sense of accomplishment and a much bigger dopamine release. The bad. There really isn't anything I would say is bad about Pragmata. However, there are some things that the game could have done better. As an ultra-wide PC gamer, I was disappointed by the 16:9 cutscenes. The game looks so good in 21:9, and then here comes a cutscene and boom, chops off the sides, killing the immersion. I could do a whole video on why this is dumb, specifically in this game with these cutscenes, but I'm gonna move on because you probably don't care. Another small gripe is that with path tracing and NVIDIA ray reconstruction enabled, I felt that at times the game felt a little smudgy. Was it bad enough for me to turn off these features? Hell no! Just a silly annoyance that I thought about a couple times throughout my run. During combat, especially towards the end of the game, where enemies' hacking patterns are more complex, I found it hard to navigate the hacking boards. The boundaries and the control node can get lost in the chaos, but that might have to do with my visual impairment. If you've played the game, I'd love to know your thoughts on the hacking interface down in the comments. Navigating the cramped corridors of the Lunar Research Facility can become tedious. The map in Pragmata is effectively useless for navigation, serving more as a checklist of collectibles and sector progress than a means of plotting one's course to their desired destination. My only complaints about the sound come from the dialogue. A few times in the game, I felt Hugh's dialogue was stilted or robotic. This was a thought I had early in the game that I don't remember recurring later on. The bad things that can be said about Pragmata's gameplay. Well, to start, the gunplay is difficult. Slow controls and high recoil clearly express to players that Hugh is no soldier. In the end, it was clear that the combat was made this way on purpose. If players had twitch quick control, the balance of hacking and shooting would skew more towards shooting, killing, what makes the combat fun and unique. Finally, my only complaint about the story is that it was a little too short. If the game had 1 or 2 more levels to allow more conversation between Hugh and Diana, I think the player's bond with the characters would be far stronger by the time the credits rolled. The verdict. Pragmata will, without question, be in contention for 2026 Game of the Year. It is a short but sweet, passion-filled game that's beautiful inside and out, and most importantly, fun. With Pragmata, Capcom has taken what us boomers loved about video games, added a little spice in the way of the hacking combat, shook it all together, and what we got was a game that I feel deserves a 9 out of 10. If you made it this far, give yourself a pat on the back. While that hand's moving, reach down and hit the like and subscribe button for old Uncle GreyDay. Coming up soon, we'll have reviews for Hades 2, finally, Samson, Crimson Desert, and Mouse PI for Hire. When? Well, I do this part-time, I don't get review codes, and I don't review games I don't beat, so soon. I'm GreyDay, I play games. Thanks for watching this GreyDayGames review of Pragmata on PC.